When former President Donald Trump uses the phrase big, beautiful, it's often to describe grand ideas, walls, healthcare plans, infrastructure, or sweeping legislation. But when Trump referred to his big, beautiful bill, what exactly did he mean? Was it a single legislative package? A metaphor for a broader political agenda? Or a reference to one of the many headline-making policies during his administration? In this deep dive, we're unpacking everything you need to know about what Trump called his big, beautiful bill. The context, the policies, the controversies, and the long-term impacts on America. 1. What is the big, beautiful bill? Donald Trump never passed a piece of legislation literally titled Big Beautiful Bill, but the phrase has been used by him multiple times to describe several large-scale proposals. In various speeches and interviews, Trump used the term while referring to a major immigration reform bill, a sweeping tax reform package, a proposed healthcare overhaul, infrastructure funding legislation. So, instead of being a single act of Congress, Big Beautiful Bill represents a political branding tool used to sell ambitious legislation to the American people, typically with promises of simplicity, strength, and broad appeal. 2. Trump's Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, 2017. One of the most concrete examples of a big, beautiful bill was the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017. Trump touted it as a once-in-a-generation reform. This act lowered the corporate tax rate from 35% to 21%, provided temporary tax cuts for individuals, doubled the standard deduction, repealed the individual mandate penalty from the Affordable Care Act, offered incentives for companies to repatriate foreign income supporters, called it a necessary stimulus. Critics argued it favored the wealthy and added to the national deficit. Still, it remains the most significant legislative win of Trump's presidency, and likely what he envisioned when he talked about a beautiful bill. 3. The beautiful healthcare bill. That never came throughout his campaign and presidency. Trump promised to repeal and replace Obamacare with a better, cheaper, and more beautiful system. At one rally, he said, "We're going to come up with a big, beautiful healthcare bill." However, that replacement never materialized. While the House passed the American Health Care Act, AHCA, in 2017, it stalled in the Senate. The so-called skinny repeal failed by a single vote, famously cast by Senator John McCain with a dramatic thumbs down. While some regulatory adjustments were made and the individual mandate was repealed through the tax bill, a comprehensive Trump health care bill never passed. 4. Immigration. Big, beautiful door in the wall. Trump's border wall became one of his most iconic and controversial campaign promises. While the wall itself was often referred to as big and beautiful, he also described future immigration policy in those terms. In speeches, he said, "We're going to have a big, beautiful door in that wall," referring to a legal immigration process. At one point, he suggested a bill that would combine DACA protections with border wall funding, another iteration of a big, beautiful bill. However, bipartisan efforts to pass such legislation ultimately failed amid sharp disagreements over immigration enforcement and funding. 5. Infrastructure Week and the missed opportunity. Another area where Trump frequently invoked the idea of a big, beautiful bill was infrastructure. From roads and bridges to broadband and clean water, he promised historic investment. But despite repeated announcements of Infrastructure Week, no large infrastructure bill passed under his administration. Multiple drafts and proposals were discussed, but intra-party disagreements and distractions from other political events prevented anything substantial from becoming law. In a 2018 meeting, Trump again called for a big, beautiful infrastructure bill, but the closest he came was signing smaller piecemeal spending packages. 6. Trump's use of branding and policy. What's clear is that big, beautiful bill isn't just a literal reference. It's part of Trump's marketing approach to politics, where policies are packaged with catchy names, broad promises, and simplified talking points. This branding strategy works well with Trump's base. It creates a vision, an idealized version of a bill that will solve big problems, save money, and look good doing it. The phrase became shorthand for ideal legislation in the Trump worldview. Tough on borders, friendly to business, and loaded with benefits for the forgotten man and woman. 7. Public reaction and media coverage. Media outlets and political commentators often mocked the phrase, calling it vague or overly simplistic. Late-night shows, in particular, had a field day with it, portraying it as empty rhetoric. But for supporters, Big, Beautiful Bill became a rallying cry, a symbol of the type of bold action they wanted to see in Washington. The media's portrayal as fluff or exaggeration only fueled Trump's anti-establishment narrative, further endearing him to those who distrusted mainstream coverage. 8. Legacy of the Big, Beautiful Bill concept. Looking back, Trump's Big, Beautiful Bill has come to represent the ambitions of his administration, even if many of those goals were never fully realized in legislative form. The term may not refer to one single law, but to a political philosophy. Bold, disruptive, highly visible action packaged for maximum emotional and visual impact. Whether you support Trump or not, his approach to political communication, especially with phrases like this, has shaped the way modern American politics is conducted. So, what do you think? Was Trump's Big, Beautiful Bill an effective vision for bold reform, or just campaign rhetoric without substance? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let us know what other political phrases or policies you'd like us to explore in future videos.